Hey guys, welcome to the Jury Duty Podcast. We are your hosts. I am Lindsay. That is my co host bestie, Kimberly. Kimberly, tell everyone hello.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. If you are new here, welcome. If you are a return customer of ours, welcome back. We tonight are going to discuss October the 2nd and the Brandon Boudreaux saga. We'll
Yes.
call it saga.
Yes.
Sure.
Sure.
Why not?
Why
Let's
not?
call it a saga.
It's a saga.
Like, share, subscribe if you want. We're happy to have you here. We're happy to bring you into our discussion. So, we are going to get to it. So, let's go. Kimberly, show them what you got.
Yes. And if you missed part one, we're picking up where we left off. I will pop that up on the screen. Highly encourage you to watch it. If you don't want to, that's okay. We're just going to get right into it, though. So let me do some magic. So, where we left off on October 1st, we know that Alex is searching for Brandon's address. We all know why. So, October 2nd, 7:17 a.m. Alex is waiting at the LDS temple at 3301 South Greenfield Road, just about 2 miles from Brandon's house, as you can see here on this map. So I don't know if you can see my pointer.
I can, yep.
Okay, here's the temple. And then just straight up this road, you can either go in here or up around here. It's about a 6-minute drive. Alex begins driving towards Brandon's home at 7:19. And what's interesting is that at the same time, Brandon is leaving the house to drop off the older kids at school, at camp, and bring the youngins to Melani. He then goes to the gym. Meanwhile, Alex and Chad are communicating via their burner phones. Alex's actual phone is still in Idaho with Lori, probably for alibi purposes. He sends several text messages to Lori's actual phone from that phone. So it's Lori texting herself, what I assume.
Yeah.
And then for some magical reason, the phones connect for 23 minutes. But Alex's burner is still pinging at Brandon's address while he lurks like a creeper and waits for him to return home. Plenty of neighbors made witness and eyewitness statements, photo lineup confirmations that they had seen Alex, that he was suspicious, that it wasn't the first time. So he is waiting and parked facing the wrong way because he is going to then lift the back window to take aim at Brandon. So at 9:13 a.m., Brandon finally returns home. He sees the Jeep parked near the front of the house, facing the wrong way on the street. As he passes, he doesn't entirely pull into his driveway. He almost does. The back window lifts, and he sees the muzzle. A shot is fired. It strikes his Tesla mere inches from his head, and it hits the door gasket and frame. Now, the window is still intact, but then as the police are coming, the glass ends up shattering. It's all over the driveway. And Brandon takes off out of the neighborhood, totally terrified. He's calling 911, and he is following the Jeep, in which Alex is calling Chad's burner phone. So he's called 911, and we do have the call. We have the transcript of the call, but I think goes without saying, if you want to listen or see, we can link those, but we already know what he's reporting to the police. He's just been shot at. So Brandon follows Alex for a couple of minutes and then gives up and goes home, probably because he's going to lose Alex around a main causeway. So the route that Brandon takes, so here is the house, okay? He turns west onto East Phelps Street, and he follows Alex around the corner here, up, around onto East Waite Lane, down onto Fisher, and then Fisher Lane intersects here with East Fairview. But in either direction, as you can see, it's going to spit you out down here at East Pecos Road. He leaves sort of this chase. I don't know that he was intending to chase him, but he decides to abandon right here, go home, and wait for the police to come. So I do have the body cam video, but it's blurry like this the whole time.
Yeah.
And I won't make y'all watch that, but I'll link it. It's basically a recap of everything that we just talked about. And then I do have a shot here of where that bullet made impact. And you can see that there's no glass in the window. That's because the glass did eventually fall out and shatter. There's about maybe 20 pages of incident investigation report just for this incident. And you'll see here that he has listed other persons involved, Melani Boudreaux, because he tells the police that only 5 people knew his new address. And Melani is the only one that would be connected to the person that he is pretty sure he saw, which is Alex Cox, driving Tylee's Jeep, which he was familiar with. So you have to wonder, in retrospect, I guess hindsight being 2020, the police immediately from the get-go, moment one, know that he suspects Melani of being involved. They go so far as to list relationships to other people named Chad Guy Daybell, Alex Cox, Lori Vallow. And interestingly, it says Brandon Boudreaux is otherwise known to Lori, but it says he's a stranger to Alex and Chad. Chad, I understand, but Alex? I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, because him and Melanie were so close. It seemed like they it didn't. I don't know, that part's kind of unclear to me as to like if they were close leading up to his death, or was it kind of like this kind of relation? Like, what did that look like?
Either way, Alex was a part of the Cox family and would have spent time with Brandon, and Brandon knew it was him by looking at him. So I don't know why it's listed that way. It's it's interesting, to say the least. So I won't go through every page of this. This is the notes and narrative on the incident. But where you see here, I've circled, he tells the police, well, here's what they wrote. I asked Boudreaux how long he lived in this home, and he stated he just moved in last Wednesday. Boudreaux explained he was in the process of getting divorced. His soon-to-be ex-wife, Melani, lived in Chandler, and he moved to this home. They have 4 children. He advised me that he's renting, gives the landlord's name, and explained the reason for the divorce was because Melani believed he was gay, and also some issues he had with her family and a homicide which occurred in Chandler recently. So I'm not sure if homicide here is a Freudian slip, or if it's the word Brandon used, or if it's just, the interchangeable word for someone died and it wasn't self-inflicted. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't self-defense. So we're just going to describe this as a homicide, which is interesting. But that also goes to show you that he is already convinced that Charles was murdered. And we know that because he had Adam on the phone, and Adam kind of held Melani hostage, trying to explain that Brandon thinks Charles was murdered. So he's already on high alert. But he does include Melani in this narrative about this incident, not just, oh, I dropped off the kids and that's it. He's already laying the groundwork here, and he already clearly has the suspicion that she's the only person that knew where he was. And the part about him being gay was new to me.
Really?
That's the first time I heard that.
Well, I know when Lori had her trial in Idaho, and they had Brandon on cross-examination.
Or maybe I blacked it out because I watched that.
Yeah, it's possible. There's been so much. But for those of you who don't know, I guess there was a video out on the internet, on his phone. I'm not really sure. Mm-hmm. He was dancing and being silly with another male, and that obviously was taken out of context.
I feel because like that's just low-hanging fruit for her.
Yeah. They on cross, they were like, "Are you aware of this video? Were you dancing with a man?" And he was like, "Yeah."
Can you imagine being confronted with something that harmless and going, "What?"
Yeah.
Did you wear purple? I like purple, maybe. Did you know that's a gay color? What? Like, that's how shocking that sounds to me.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think that about purple. I love purple. It's beautiful. There's no such thing as a gay color.
No. But, yeah, so that was a thing. And I think they were using that little small bit of, as you said, low-hanging fruit to be like, he's gay, which he's not.
No, he's not. Isn't he remarried?
He's remarried.
Good for him.
It's just, yeah, good for him. But
Good for him.
it's just, anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, so just a quick summary because, again, this is many pages long. By about 10 a.m., so 10 to about 1 o'clock in Arizona, Officer Yarbrough from Gilbert Police tapes off the scene. Officer Robb documents the Tesla window, the glass shards in the driveway. They recover the bullet fragments from the door frame. They also pick up a fresh cigarette butt just about 10 feet away from where the Jeep was. And it's interesting because I don't recall ever hearing or seeing a reference to Alex being a smoker, but they collected it for DNA.
Yeah, so from what I read in the police report, I guess one of the neighbors was outside smoking when they saw Alex because they were talking about the Jeep that they saw. So, yeah, there was a guy outside smoking a cigarette. So it was his, not Alex's.
Well, cool.
Either way.
By about 10:30, the Violent Crimes Unity, look at that typo. It's a word, that's why I didn't catch it, takes over the investigation. Detective Rendall starts talking to neighbors to see if anyone has exterior camera footage, Ring doorbells of any or all of the incident. They close the scene technically by 2:36, so open the house back up. This document, we'll try to find a way to make it available somewhere. It is, again, a 304-page PDF. It'll detail what witnesses they spoke to, on what days, what times, what their affidavits said. Like, it's very detailed, but not necessarily what we want to talk about here. They do have plenty of witnesses, though, that clock in on Alex pretty easily. Meanwhile, in Utah and Idaho, from 1:25 to 1:32, Lori and Chad are at the Rexburg storage unit. They are depositing the collapsible back seat and the Jeep wheel. And yes, Lindsay, this is the butt tap seen around the world. Like, good game, babe. We did it. And
yeah, but in a bigger sense, we did not.
Yeah, right. Because by now, I don't know what contact they're having with Alex other than the fact that Alex drove off and was trying to call Chad. So did he reach Chad or not? Did they know it was successful? And I ask that because Lori, later that evening, as you'll see in a second, is Googling to see the news stories or possible news stories. She already knows the outcome. Maybe she's looking to see what he has said or if they found any evidence. But Chad and Alex use their burners for one final time at 8:42 p.m. He finally makes it back to Utah. So he hauled ass because it's about a 13-hour drive. So he is racing back towards Idaho. And then at 8:46, for a couple of minutes, someone logged into Lori's Gmail account. I wonder who it could be.
Did searching. You see her do that? Did you see her do that?
Did you see me specifically log into my Gmail account? Oh,
yeah.
Green chili chicken enchiladas.
Yeah.
And is looking for things like man shot in Gilbert, Arizona, and then clearly goes, that's not an effective Google search. Tries it again. Man shot in Gilbert, Arizona, 10/2/2019. And then says, no, dummy, that might be more than one person. And then looks for AVC News, Brandon Boudreaux. So clearly she's looking to see what's going on, what's developing, much like Brian Koberger driving by the house the next day. Or, it's interesting. But by now, she at least has to know, because Alex has been calling and texting all day, that Brandon is alive. But I'm guessing there might be some nerves here about, well, did he see you? You know what I mean? Like, they have to be smart enough to think, ooh, that's close. But they weren't smart enough not to let him bring Tylee's Jeep there, knowing Brandon could recognize it and could recognize him. Like, these dots don't connect for me here. But, no one's accusing Lori of being a mastermind criminal because she's obviously not.
Well, Alex may as well just gotten out and been like, Brandon,
it's me.
It's me, Alex.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
And also this wasn't in the 300 and whatever page document that we read over. And granted, we'll try and get you guys some of the real tea that's in there. We may not upload all of it, obviously, because that would be a nightmare.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a
And a lot
smidge.
of it is just we followed up with this, we followed up with that. That was a nothing burger, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Anyway, um,
Yeah.
in one of the trials, I don't remember which one. I'm sure the comment section will help me out.
Hmm.
When Alex missed Brandon,
Mm-hmm.
Lori was on the phone. And I believe it was Zulema who said she was on the phone with Alex, got off the phone, and was like, he can't do anything right. Or something along those lines. But
No,
that
you're
wasn't in the
right.
police report.
Um, I actually, I saw Zulema. I'm just calling it sections. I saw
Mm-hmm.
sections of Zulema in the giant. I'm going to look in the document again and I will go find it. Not right now, but
Okay.
it is noted.
Is it?
Um,
Because I didn't see it.
Parts of it are redacted, but I do think I saw that.
Yeah.
Um, so that's just the quick 1,000-foot view of October 2nd, but there's more that's super relevant because what we're talking about is not just, okay, here's what happened, but how is this a Melanie connection? We already know from the last episode that clearly she provided the address to Alex. He's not psychic. He's not endowed with any special powers from the man upstairs, according to Chad or Lori. So I don't know how he knew where Brandon might be living, but I think it's pretty clear that that is a provision of information or resources, and that is one of several very, very compelling requirements to be charged as an accomplice to conspiracy to commit murder. But I digress. But we also know that not only did Melanie see Brandon that day because she took custody of the youngest child, interestingly enough, their daughter, who you might remember was the one that she needs to protect from Brandon, apparently, for some ungodly reason that Chad just threw out there like spaghetti on a wall. But the police department do their only interview with Melanie the very next day at 9:36 in the morning. So before we read that, because we're going to look at this 6-page interview because it's something else. Not only has he now name dropped everybody involved, but 6 days after this, Brandon files a petition, and that's what I had on the screen just a minute ago. He filed a petition in Maricopa County to have her mental health evaluated for their custody dispute, to determine her fitness as a parent, and to make legal decisions for their kids. And then on the ninth, when the shooting at Tammy's house happens, he's hired a private investigator, Rich Robertson, to deep dive the attempt on his life. Like, he is wasting no time. Meanwhile, October 4th, Chad is telling Lori that he's doing something to expedite Tammy's death. Now, I know, like Forrest Gump said, I'm not a smart man, but having Alex attempt the same stunt is stupid since he didn't accomplish the first one. But we know that he attempts on October 9th and yet again does not accomplish the mission. So,
But you know what? They don't have the cojones to do it themselves, right? So they're going
well,
to send
that, and they know
someone who
that
just sprays.
they need alibis. But that's a great point, though. In true suspicious fashion, just like Melanie's flying all over the place to see Lori and back conveniently in the days before Brandon's shooting, Lori decides that she's going to get on an Allegiant Air flight as Lori Ryan on October 8th, the day before Tammy's shot at, to fly to Melanie. This looks like nothing short of generating distance and alibis the same way they did with Brandon. Because again, there's no coincidences here. Just furthers my belief that Melanie was doing the same before Brandon was shot, especially when you hear this interview with police. But also, remember, Melanie went to visit Lori and Alex in Idaho September 26th to the 29th, during which he's at the shooting range. He's having Jeep windows tinted. And she just went for a visit, apparently. Well, while Lori and Alex and Chad are conspiring and in court have been shown some of the things we've talked about here, but they're clearly taking action to prepare to commit. What the hell was Melanie doing? Hanging out by the pool? Give me a break. To say that she had nothing to do with it and was totally oblivious to their planning and plotting while she was there makes no sense.
Never had a
None.
conversation.
No. It's
Never
the
had.
craziest thing, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, let's take a look at Melanie's interview because that's what I really, really, really want to share with all of you today. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Melanie. So, the following is a supplemental summary of the investigation into the attempted homicide of Brandon Boudreaux. After the initial investigation on the 2nd, I'm not going to go through names and get all the names right. I called Melanie Boudreaux and requested she come to the Gilbert Police Department for an interview. Melanie did not inquire about the specifics of the interview, but agreed to meet me at 10:30 the next day. Red flag number 1. Didn't ask any questions. Why? For whatever reason. Now,
is everything okay? What's going on? Yeah.
Now, that gets even crazier sounding when you hear that later on, I'll read it to you, that she says that Brandon tried to reach out to her that day, and like, she didn't answer him. She doesn't answer the man. Either she's really good at playing stupid on this front where she's like, I better not answer his calls or his texts. He's just been shot at. But she tells the investigator that she didn't text him back until that morning, and apparently just said he had a bad day. It's a little strange, but the fact that she had zero surprise or questions like, police, why do you want to talk to me about what? She's just like, okay. She brings her youngest child to the interview. The interview was video and audio recorded, but those were impounded later as evidence. And this I also find interesting. We've not seen those. Impounded for evidence in what matter?
Evidence
we have yet
for
to see
what
those.
Case? Yeah.
So I'm hoping we see them in Brandon's case. But then again, what we also know as of today at the last pretrial hearing for Lori, she's not listed as a witness for anybody. Mm-mm. Melanie will not make an appearance at Brandon's trial. Why? Even just as a background witness or someone to give foundation, zero. So I don't know that we'll see this because it would technically wouldn't that be hearsay? So
yeah, I'm not an attorney, but it sounds like it. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. This is not helping strengthen my resolve and respect for the Gilbert Police Department, but it's okay. So at the time of my interview, it was not clear how much she knew about what happened to Brandon or if she was involved. I began the interview by confirming her contact and identification information. I asked about her relationship with Brandon. She explained how they were married for almost 11 years, but were in the final stages of a divorce. She told me that she did not work, but received money from the divorce. Melanie confirmed the 50-50 child custody arrangement and that he now had his own residence. Next section, she labels as the reason for the divorce. I asked Melanie, ooh, sorry, not trying to make you all dizzy. Here we go. I asked Melanie about the reason Brandon and she filed for divorce. Sorry, that grammar caught me for a minute. Brandon and she. Mm-hmm. Oof. Melanie told me that Brandon traveled a lot and started to make bad business deals. Melanie allowed Brandon to make the financial decisions because she was a full-time mother to their 4 children. Melanie told me she also noticed a change in his behavior. She believed it was a result of stress from work, but did not know for certain. She also found a lot of, quote, gay activity surrounding Brandon. She described a video of Brandon dancing with another guy on his phone, as well as gay pictures. She did not elaborate further. I asked Melanie if Brandon had a history of homosexual behavior. She said no. She told me anytime she confronted him about the issue, he became defensive. Wouldn't you if you weren't? First of all, I don't care if you're purple, polka dotted, black, white, tall, gay, Asian, trans, purple people eater. Everyone's good in my book. I'm just going to judge you on your personality. If you're kind of a bleepity bleep bleep, just not going to like you. Who, first of all, would want to be accused of something that's being stated in a negative way? There's nothing wrong with being gay. Granted, I'm not a member of the LDS Church. They definitely feel differently than I do about it, but I'd become defensive too because it's like, where is this coming from? You know?
Where is it coming from? And I bet she accused him of this several times, and he was probably just getting very frustrated of like,
yeah.
Also the whole context of surrounding like these accusations, right? Like,
right.
There's probably a lot to it than just the accusation.
She told me she suspected Brandon of using illegal drugs. She believed he used ecstasy because it was a gay drug. I'm going to have to use air quotes. First of all, they used quotes too, appropriately, but Melanie did not have any evidence or experiences to substantiate her suspicions, but said Brandon wore sunglasses a lot and acted more confident and lost a lot of weight recently.
To be this stupid is just
the brilliant
something.
mind of Melanie Cope Boudreaux Palowski. He wears a lot of sunglasses. Careful out there, people. If you wear sunglasses a lot, you have self-confidence and you're losing some weight and feeling yourself. Careful.
And you take gay drugs.
Good grief. So I'm dying and cringing reading this.
Can you imagine the police officer is just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I keep a straight face for this.
Yeah.
Melanie confronted Brandon about her suspicions in June 2019 on a family trip. Brandon was adamant that he was neither homosexual nor a drug user and told Melanie she was crazy and suggested she seek a mental evaluation. Melanie told me she knew she was not crazy and knew the truth. As a result of Melanie's suspicions, she primarily communicated with Brandon via text and maintained as little contact as possible. Brandon and Melanie filed for divorce in July 2019. Melanie told me since the divorce, Brandon had turned church members and her own family against her. Melanie said a lot of people believed what Brandon said about her, so she learned to stay independent. The people she now primarily talked with were her grandmother, Janice Cox, and aunt, Lori Vallow. I've never seen such a... Well, I mean, this could get more interesting. That's just a brazen, bold-faced lie that the church was turning against her. It's because no one's turning against you, sweet cheeks. You are turning against the church. Also, nobody believed what Brandon was saying.
It just adds to her narrative.
Oh my goodness. But she doesn't think that police might follow up on this, which just blows my mind. Finances, a fun area that we know Melanie loves to talk about. I asked Melanie to explain the finances that they shared. Melanie told me Brandon had always made decent money since they had been together. Brandon owned several different companies over the years and shared responsibilities with business partners and friends. As a result of their divorce, Melanie was paid out, insert dollar amount here, by one of Brandon's
long black line.
Yeah, by one of Brandon's business partners, Chris Pierce. She also received another insert amount here from Avgard Insurance, Brandon's previous company. Melanie went on to tell me that Brandon also paid her blank a month for child support. Melanie told me she was not concerned about money despite not being employed. Melanie confirmed she was also on Brandon's life insurance for approximately blankety blank amount of dollars, which we now know is $1 million. Melanie was supposed to get herself life insurance with Brandon as the beneficiary per their divorce mediation, but had yet to do so. Interesting. Okay, well, if he's got a life insurance policy, what if something happens to you? That seems like it makes sense, but interesting that she chose not to do that, but was still paying on a policy for him. But also, a lot of people might say, so he's worth more to her alive than dead because look at all this money. She was paid out in 2, I'm assuming, one-time lump sums, but otherwise she's only getting child support. So $1 million one time, or what, $500 a month for the... No, I'll take $1 million is what she thought.
Mm-hmm.
I asked Melanie to tell me, you guys, if you're not sitting, sit the F down.
And sit down. Turn us up.
Sit down, grab a cocktail, do what you need to do. Get your
emotional support
cocktail. Yeah. Pause. Take a deep centering breath. Because this is where I'm so mad. I'm going to knock the mic over.
Go ahead.
I asked Melanie to tell me about her day yesterday, which would have been October the 2nd. Melanie told me Brandon dropped off blank child at her house in the morning. Melanie could not remember what she did after she took custody of child, Melanie told me sometimes they went to the park, sometimes the gym, and sometimes the mall. It's like a Dr. Seuss book. In a cat, in a hat, on a hill, with some dude named Bill. She has no clue, but sometimes we do these activities. Melanie could not remember for certain what they did yesterday. Okay, let's assume, just for 5 seconds, that she really had nothing to do with this. You don't remember what you did all day yesterday? Maybe you do need to get your thinker looked at. What? But if she is guilty of helping this conspiracy, no one thought to tell her you should probably figure out to tell what the cops what the hell you did all day? Sweet baby Jesus, it's a fire. Melanie said she remembered ordering groceries online, made dinner, and went to bed. I asked if she communicated with anyone. Melanie told me she received multiple phone calls from Brandon, which was not normal. If my soon-to-be ex was calling me nonstop all day and it wasn't normal, I'd be like, ooh, what's going on? She just decided not to answer. Brandon sent a message explaining that he had a bad day and wanted to check on their children. Melanie did not reply until today at 6:52 a.m. and messaged that the children were okay and that she hoped Brandon had a better day. Otherwise, Melanie could not remember if she talked with anyone else. So, your co-parenting partner, just let's make it super official, is blowing your phone up, which is not normal, sending you messages, and you just decide, whatevs. But also, do you think that Brandon was like, hey, babe, I had a tough day today. I don't know. It was just a bad day. I just want to check on the kids, make sure they're good. No chance in hell that's what he said to her, that he just had a bad day. I would not describe that as a bad day. I would describe that as a nightmare. And I would be terrified that someone was going to harm my family, or that if I really suspected her, that she was going to go off the deep end and do something with the child that was staying with her. You want me to believe that he messaged you and was like, dude, I had a bad day. And you just said, oh, everything's okay. I hope you have a good day today. Make that make sense.
I don't have any red flags sitting around me, but it's all... And okay, here's my question.
And you don't remember what you did yesterday either.
And you and I had a conversation about this today, but you and I have not had a conversation about this. I may not know, like, if you do approach me and say, what did you do yesterday? It might take me a minute to be like, well, I went here and then I did this and then I did this. But generally, I know if I went to the park.
Right.
Or
I know
to the
if
mall.
I left my house or if I spoke to people.
If I spoke to people, I mean, she could be like, I mean, I don't know. I took my kids to school. I picked them up from school. I did some errands. I had to make some phone calls for some things.
Like, we hung around the house all day. We watched movies. I did some laundry.
Yeah.
Anything.
We went outside. Just something. If she's like,
I converted oxygen to carbon dioxide all day. That's all I breathed.
And why isn't this officer going, I'm sorry,
What?
You don't remember anything you did yesterday?
God. It continues.
Okay, go ahead.
I told Melanie that someone tried to shoot Brandon yesterday. Melanie did not have a change of expression and stayed quiet. I asked if she knew anyone who would want to hurt or kill him. She told me that he had a lot of friends and spent time with people she did not know. This is gonna make people mad. Melanie then told me Brandon also had a history of doing business with her uncle, Charles Vallow. Melanie told me about an open investigation by Chandler police that involved Charles and her aunt Lori. Melanie said Charles went to Lori's house and was threatening to hit her uncle, Alex, with a baseball bat. Charles then tried to hit Melanie's younger cousin, I'm going to assume Tylee, with the bat. As a result, Alex pulled out a gun and then shot and killed Charles. Melani said the homicide was justified as self-defense. Not having a change of expression and staying quiet, I'll play devil's advocate. Having studied mental health, people react to things differently. People process differently. Shock, adrenaline, hell, even being on the autism spectrum can affect the way that you respond to something. But for all intents and purposes, a completely average, non-remarkable, everyday 30-something-year-old woman who's just now found out that her ex-husband's been shot at, the father of her children, to have zero change of expression and just to sit there blankly like, okay, continue.
She wasn't even like, dude, what?
What?
Like,
yeah,
what?
not even she just sat there like, oh, is that it? Are you done talking? Like, okay, proceed.
I mean, and that's okay.
Why when asked if she knows anyone that would want to hurt or kill Brandon, she brings up Charles, who is dead, and then her aunt and her uncle. Are you pulling a Wendy Adelson here and accidentally naming your family? Yeah. But also, what does this have to do with people who might want to hurt or kill Brandon? That sounds like her listing problems Brandon had with other people. But really what she's saying here is, well, there was a problem between Brandon and my family, and he, disagreed with this, But she just says that he had a habit of doing business with Charles. By the way, here's what happened to Charles. What does that have to do with someone wanting to hurt or kill him? It's like she Freudian slipped that in there on accident. Wendy, that wasn't the question you were asked.
I know. Well, okay. Hear me out on this too. Okay, so even if I divorce my husband and I hate his dumb guts, okay, and someone shoots at him and I literally am like, dude, I don't know what you're doing. I have nothing to do with this.
Right.
I want to be like, I don't want our children to be with you if you're having these sorts of issues, right? Like,
right.
I don't want someone going after you and something happening to my children, but she's just like,
Even if you were guilty of knowing more than you should know, you could at least have your Susan Lucci like face prepared. But she just... So.
It's like, no, I didn't steal anything, but don't look under my bed.
Right.
Because it wouldn't be there.
Right. Charles and Brandon used to communicate regularly. Melani tried to tell Brandon not to talk to him because he cheated on Lori. Since Charles's death, Brandon tried to tell Melani that Charles was murdered by Alex, not in self-defense. Melani felt Brandon was trying to put a wedge between her and her family, Alex and Lori. Melani explained how Lori was someone she could trust and felt very close to. True. Per my request, Melani provided me with identification information for Alex, Lori, and blank. I'm going to guess that's Chad.
Probably Tylee, because she's a minor.
But Tylee was dead. Melani allegedly didn't know that. Yeah, in October.
Oh, they were missing at this point.
Yeah. Well, either way. Melani then, for the first time, because later on, we can talk about this in another episode, she lies to the FBI. And they looked the other way because her husband Ian was being cooperative. But she tells her first series of bogus ass lies here. Melani's unsure if Lori, Alex, and blank live together. Melani believed, okay, so it is Tylee. Tylee was, quote, in college or something, but didn't know where. You're going to tell the police right now that you have no idea what the living arrangements are when you were just there? And you can be verified by airfare and credit card. What?
And
what?
Yeah, so they were visiting with each other, and Tylee was nowhere to be found. And she wasn't like, what are you going to do with Tylee? Where's JJ? And she had no idea. And the thing is the response, too, with all of this, like, name dropping and this narrative, to me, a normal person would be like, I've got a lot of drama happening for some reason in my family. It's created a lot of turmoil.
Right.
We're all standing in different corners, having a staring contest. We don't trust, like, something is happening. But no, she's just like,
yeah.
Yeah, the reaction is like, and for the police not to be like, what?
Well, and I'm surprised they didn't note here any kind of response on their end because, again, this information about Alex and Lori and Brandon trying to drive a wedge between her and her family has zero context for what she's being asked. She's being asked about anyone, anything, any situation that might be presenting as a red flag or suspicious, who might want to hurt him. Does he have any problems with people? Sure, he has problems with Lori and Alex, but you definitely shouldn't have said that. What's wrong with you? Good job. Good looking out. But it also doesn't answer the question at all and is too much information. She overshared this information.
I don't want any of you speaking to the police without an attorney.
Yeah,
Let's
seriously.
talk about that.
Can we? I don't care if it's a traffic ticket.
Don't
Zip
just
your lips. Do you know how
stop
fast you're going?
snitching.
No.
No idea.
Get an offender bender. Don't get out of the car and go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Never admit fault. Just 101. Even if you feel bad, it is your fault. That'll get taken care of. Trust me. Zip your lips.
But
It
this
is
is
BS
her...
that innocent people don't need attorneys. Not true. Everyone
not
needs
true.
an attorney because you can be as innocent as you want. You can say the sky is really blue today, and someone will hear, oh, she's looking up at the sky, making observations about what color it was. Was it not supposed to be blue? You just be quiet. Innocent people need lawyers all the time because there's plenty of innocent people that get railroaded by the system.
But to me, this is like textbook self-snitching of, and like these breadcrumbs of she knows. She keeps bringing people in that she knows and is having dealings with. She's not like, Brandon's been having some sketchy dealings. I don't know.
Right. And Brandon's not having problems with Lori and Alex. He's just suspicious of them. But again, this is following the question, does anyone have a reason to want him hurt or dead? She's giving background about how Brandon is at odds with her family. Why don't you just come out and skywrite it? They want to kill him. Because that needed no explanation.
That's a Wendy Adelson.
It just, ew.
Mm-hmm.
There's more. There's more. Melani denied knowing the specific location for Lori or Alex. Okay, she told me the last time, and this is why this is also hilarious. She told me the last time she saw either of them was approximately 2 weeks ago before Lori moved. I think you mean last week when you flew out there to see her. Anyway, Melani said Lori had an autistic son who was with her and was unsure what school she wanted him to go to. Why was that relevant? I asked for any viable phone numbers, addresses, or contact information that could help me reach them. Melani said she would not give that type of information because she was told that people could track phones and use listening devices to gather information.
Well, then why don't you
Jesus. Yeah. I mean, if you got nothing to hide and you're not worried about people gathering information, trust me, would I want the police listening to our phone conversations every day? Probably not. Probably not. They'd either grab some popcorn or be like, oh my God, do we have to listen anymore? Right.
Yeah.
So what? Listen to my boring ass conversation. You're going to refuse to give the police information to reach the two people you just dragged into this? Hardcore. Brandon did say, like, oh, well, her family. She just gave them the Reader's Digest version, and then she's lying about knowing where they live and the last time she saw them and just being kind of iffy on, I mean, if she's really close and trusts her Aunt Lori, like she just told the police 1 page ago, she doesn't know what her living situation is. She doesn't know anything about that. And why would it matter giving phone numbers and all that other jazz if phones will be tracked and there's listening devices? What you doing that you don't want to be tracked? My hackles would have been up like, I'm sorry, what did you say? Excuse me? Because they can find that information anyway. It just takes them longer. It's just easier if she does it and gives it to them. But this is just buckets of sus. But here's the kicker. She basically says that Lori kind of is giving her the arm's reach. Melani said Lori had to do her own thing while she, Melani, figured out her divorce with Brandon. Lori said, it's not you. It's me. I need space. You need to figure your ish out with Brandon. I'm going to do my own thing. It's like she's now seeing, oh my God, I just word saladed, word vomited this whole interview. I should probably backtrack and tell this cop, well, I mean, it's not really relevant. You don't have to contact her anyway, because I mean, she's doing her own thing till I get my ish together. You know, too little too late there, kiddo. Just a smidge. But you'll be happy to know that at the conclusion of the interview, Melani asked if Brandon was okay. I told her he was alive. She did not have further information for me, and we ended the interview. There's still more, but I'm so glad she waited till the very last minute to go, is he okay?
And then his response is, he's alive. And then you go,
right.
You're not like, that's weird.
And they didn't note their response because remember, they noticed her reactions to things they were telling her and were making note of them and describing them here. They made no mention of what her reaction to that information was, which I found interesting. But although this goes past October 2nd, this is still relevant to Melani, and we're going to finish this. We're almost done, I promise, but this blew my mind. The following summary is separated by dates of importance as to what we learned between October 4th and the 31st. And trust me, there's plenty of October, November, December stuff that heats up in the Melani Brandon situation that is way too much to share here. But here's some insight, and it is still about Melani's involvement. After my interview with Melani, suspicions about her involvement increased. And yet somehow went nowhere. Sorry, I should have said spoiler alert. I don't know what the redacted information is, but it's blank blank at both Melani and Alex Cox's last known addresses. I don't know what that is. Oops, I didn't mean to zoom in. October 9th. Gilbert police detectives had a meeting with Chandler police detectives Moffat and Coons. We discussed the specifics of the investigation for Charles Vallow's homicide. See, she had to go and put the bug in his ear. Yep. Now he's looking into Charles. I learned the following individuals, and now here's the thing. Brandon would have done the same, okay? Because he thinks they're obviously connected, but I highly doubt that he went as far as Melani did with the details. I learned the following individuals were present at the homicide. Charles Vallow, Lori Vallow, Alex Cox, and then Tylee and JJ. Alex shot and killed Charles within Lori's residence. As a result of inconsistencies with physical evidence and statements, the investigation was ongoing, and the case was not cleared as a justifiable homicide. I also learned that Charles's dark-colored Jeep Wrangler was at the crime scene. Photographs were taken of the Jeep during Chandler's investigation. Per my request, images of the Jeep were later forwarded to me. Upon review, I observed the Jeep Wrangler had a hard top, 2 doors, stock tires, dark tinted window, and a wheel affixed to the back of the vehicle. Furthermore, the Jeep had a Texas license plate displayed on the back bumper, which was, again, LWD 0997. Why I know that by heart, don't know. I was told Tylee was the primary operator of the Jeep prior to and after Charles's homicide. Alex, Lori, and Tylee's whereabouts were unknown at the time of our meeting. Yes, Brandon would have made the Jeep connection with the police. He absolutely did. He absolutely would have brought Charles into this. But you did not do yourself any favors. Oh my God. Moving on. I drafted search warrants and sent them to Verizon and T-Mobile for the known phone numbers for Alex, Lori, Melani, and Tylee. I also completed a blank warrant for the area around Brandon's address. See, they were going to get the numbers anyway, Melani. But you being stubborn about it, like, no, I don't want you listening to their calls and whatnot. Okay. Yeah. The NSA going to listen no matter what, sweetie. Sorry, pumpkin. Yeah. Brandon Boudreaux. So on the 14th, Brandon Boudreaux called to advise me. And we do have screen grabs of these texts. We'll have to do this in another episode. To advise me that Melani contacted him and said she's moving to Boise, Idaho next week, with or without their children. Spoiler alert, it's without her children. Brandon was taken back by this because Melani never talked about Boise before, and she would never want to separate from her children. Furthermore, Melani still had a rental agreement through July 2020 at her Gilbert residence. Brandon said this was extremely unusual behavior for Melani, especially after the recent shooting that happened 12 days ago. Brandon had custody of his 4 children during our conversation and said he would be seeking legal assistance, referenced the custodial arrangement, considering Melani's sudden desire to move. On this date, data was also received from Verizon for the information requested on the search warrants. These children that she was so eager and hell-bent on fighting him to the death for, and boy, does it get dirty. We've brace yourselves for that content because we got all that paperwork too. It's dirty. Dirty. She's happy to go with or without them though. Maybe that's because she knows that 2 of them are dark, or that she just doesn't care. I don't know.
She has work to do, Kimberly.
She got missions to do and all that fun jazz. Information gathered indicated blank previously attended blank in Gilbert. Contact was made with a school resource officer who confirmed blank disenrolled in August 2019. Other possible locations were searched for blank and the Jeep Wrangler, but were met with negative results. So this is about Tylee, obviously, because she was the driver of the Jeep. Brandon called me to advise that he retained legal counsel and learned he was still legally married to Melani. I don't know how that happens. I've been divorced. I hate to brag about how great my life is, but I've been divorced. You definitely get paperwork. You got to go see a judge and all that fun stuff. How do you not know you're still legally married? I don't know. As a result, I have seen and read through all the emotions and hearings that come after this date. It gets interesting. But as a result, they had equal custody of their children, and Melani had the legal right to leave the state with them if she desired. Brandon told me he would not return the children to Melani as originally scheduled for tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. Brandon contacted me to advise that he learned Melani was still on his financial accounts, despite her agreement to remove herself in August of 2019. Brandon had message correspondence with Melani on 10/7 when she agreed to remove her name from his accounts. As of this date, Melani is still on Brandon's accounts. As a result, Brandon transferred the funds to a different financial institution. Now, she will, spoiler alert, be charged with computer tampering. Those charges were dismissed, but she was she accessed Brandon's financial accounts, and her excuse was, through her lawyer, well, it's not her fault. He's dumb and didn't change the password. Well, gee golly gosh. That's a great reason. Reason. Yeah. And here we are. Melani contacts me for the first time since our initial interview. She told me that she tried to take her children out of school early today and learned Brandon did not take them to school. I denied knowledge of Brandon's reasoning and explained the equal custody per their legal marriage. So this cop is playing Team Brandon. He's like, I'm not going to tell her anything.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was allowed to say anything, but he's like, I asked Melani if anything further developed since our initial interview. She said no. I asked about her desire to go to Idaho. She said it was an unplanned location and she wanted a fresh start. It doesn't have anything to do with my aunt, who actually does live there, and I know exactly where she lives. Melani reiterated her belief that Brandon was manipulating and threatening her in an attempt to disrupt her relationship with Lori. Melani could not provide any details or evidence of Brandon's threats or manipulations, so we concluded our call.
They didn't happen. They did not happen.
And what's really sick here is that she is desperately trying to preserve the relationship with someone she's blood related to. You can't get rid of her, really, if you wanted to. You can cut ties with family, but you are more concerned with the disruption of your relationship with Lori, which honestly, if Brandon wasn't having an impact on you and you didn't care what he thought or said, how would that disrupt your relationship if you're just going to live your best life anyway? I'd be more concerned with someone trying to ruin my relationship with my husband. But I don't know that Melani ever saw it that way. She just saw it as, oh my God, my husband's this dark, evil genius and I need to get rid of him. Chud says that he's evil. Like, oh shit.
And he is God, you know?
Yeah. I learned that blank responses returned from blank sorry guys, near Holbrook, Arizona on October 1st on the I-40 at 6 hours and 52 minutes. Gray colored hardtop two-door Jeep Wrangler with Texas plates was captured driving towards Phoenix. So they're talking about getting results back, whether that's a plate reader or what have you, confirming that Alex was driving the Jeep, as we talked about last episode. And they noted the Jeep did not have the wheel affixed to the back. And they already know from the images that they have the Jeep that it did. And the image was captured approximately 26 hours and 30 minutes prior to Brandon's attempted homicide. So I thought it was interesting before, and I didn't mention it, that Alex is moving and grooving down to Arizona on the 30th of September, but didn't do anything until the 2nd. And if you remember, Melanie and Brandon closed the sale of their home on October 1st.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if this was meant to happen earlier, but for some reason, that house closing did not go as scheduled, and she needs Brandon for that house to close because I'm sure she's probably going to get something from that.
Oh, she probably would have gotten all the money, right?
I don't know, but why be here 2 days early? Because clearly no amount of preparation was going to make Alex a better gunman. So I don't know what the extra time and head start gave him, but that was just a stray thought.
Yeah.
I contacted Chandler Detective Moffat and Coons and provided them with the updated information. As a result, they contacted the FBI for assistance with the cell data received from the Chandler and Gilbert investigations. The FBI confirms receipt of the phone records, lots of redaction. This information showed Lori may be living in Idaho, hence Melanie's desire to move. Why don't you just call her a liar? Because
just that's fine. We'll say it. Liar, liar, pants on fire.
And
because I don't.
Wow. And here's why I still don't understand how at least no public information has been made available about why it's clear that they're suspicious of Melanie and why they're seeing all these lies that she's telling are really just starting to fall like dominoes. Why nothing has happened with her. But if this next part doesn't send you right over that edge, I don't know what will. October 22nd, Brandon told me about a suspicious death in Idaho and forwarded a link to an obituary for Tammy Daybell. Brandon explained that Tamara Daybell was the wife of Chud. Chud was an individual that Charles Vallow told Brandon about. Prior to his death, Charles discovered suspicious email correspondence between Lori and Chud. Charles believed Lori and Chud had an ongoing affair. The obituary Brandon sent me was from Tammy's death that occurred on the 19th. I told Brandon that I would contact the respective Idaho law enforcement agencies for follow-up. Brandon calls on the 24th to advise that Melanie has become unresponsive to his messages and may have left Arizona. Melanie did not try to take their children, nor did she notify Brandon where she was going. The last contact Brandon had with Melanie was on October 16th, and we'll show you those text messages next time. But she also, in the intervening time, Brandon has now taken his children and gone into hiding with them, as we talked about, because why not? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So it doesn't even matter if she wanted to come get these kids. She just made it easier for him to go into hiding. He was going to be gone anyway. Yeah. And he was. And it's interesting that Melanie was no longer responsive and she didn't try to take their children. Meanwhile, she's on Facebook, and I've got those posts too. She's on Facebook. She's texting people her, what did she call them? Something angels. I'm going to have to remember, but she had like these nicknames for people like Melanie Gibb and Zulema, people that were doing her flying monkey work for her, hunting Brandon down, following friends and family to see if they knew where Brandon was. So she was really making an effort not to find her kids, but to find Brandon, although I'll give her credit. You find Brandon, you find the kids, but still she's making these public pleas for her children and how she's being defamed and Meanwhile, she's not answering Brandon, which is interesting because if he is actively trying to reach out to her, how's she going to say that he ran off with her children and she's now hunting him down like the Wicked Witch of the West when she could have just responded to him and that may not have been you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Okay, sure. Absolutely. October 28th, Brandon contacted me to advise his children and he, God, the grammar, oh my God, would be moving to Utah to stay with his parents for the foreseeable future. 2 weeks later, Melanie's going to get arrested on their property for trespassing with a domestic violence enhancement. We'll show you that body cam.
Yeah.
So she does pop back up pretty quickly.
Oh, so. Yeah. No, that's going to be something interesting. I just, look, I'm not going to say anything that the rest of the universe isn't thinking, saying, here's what I think we should do. Maybe not next episode, but in the coming episodes. Get a lawyer on here, a
Mm-hmm.
lawyer that you may know.
Yeah. Not that one. Sorry, Peter.
Not that one. We do know Pete. Well, we kind of know
Yeah.
Peter, but we someone you've probably, if you've watched us, I'm sure you've watched this person before, but to help us understand, like, what do they need to take this to the finish line?
Yeah. What's the burden of evidence you need to bring this to the grand jury for an indictment? Because I looked it up. I looked up Arizona's criminal accomplice and what's it called? Accessory sort of
The
guidelines.
Yeah.
And the evidence, they're ticking all the boxes. So what the hell is the holdup?
Yeah. Unless there's something else like brewing or something happening in the background that we don't know about. I just.
At this point, make a move, man.
Yeah.
The suspense it's not fun anymore. It's more like, what's wrong with you?
Well, everyone in the free world is on the same page as far as this involvement goes, right? Like, someone do something.
Right. So I'll skim through this paragraph. It's what we already know. Is they talk to Madison County Sheriff's Office about Tammy. They find out that she didn't have an autopsy and that she didn't have really a terrible medical history. She was 49 years old. The coroner asked if there was something suspicious that, she should know. And the officer tells her they're not sure. And unsolicited, the coroner shared that she spoke with neighbors of the Daybell family, and the neighbors referred to the Daybell family as extremely religious, and recent reports of people meeting to plan for a doomsday event.
Which is interesting to me because that comes from a very religious area.
Right.
Right? And for someone to be like, now they are, whoop,
Yeah. Now, at this point, remember, Brandon's already been telling the police that Melani's in a cult. So at this point, they're talking to the FBI to combine the cases. And then they did confirm the Jeep Wrangler belonged to Charles, was driven by Tylee, that the Jeep did travel from Idaho Falls into Arizona. The Jeep returned to Idaho Falls the day after the shooting. Brandon messaged after he discovered that Melani and an unidentified male, presumably Alex, returned to Melani's Arizona house. The moved property out of her rental home and into a U-Haul, which confirmed that Melani was moving. Some of the things that they left on the curb were all of the kids' stuff. So if this ain't Lori 2.0, we got Lori and Charles on a whole other level. This is just history repeating itself. I mean, oof, my God. It's a lot. And this has been an hour. So I'm going to shut it down there. But let me tell you that from this point moving forward, Melani and Brandon's independent situation gets real wild. Wild. And not just because of their personal stuff that does have to do with Lori and Chad, very much so. But then her new husband starts making an appearance and he throws a couple monkey wrenches in there. It just gets very cray-cray.
And there's also situations in this report that I was like, I've never heard about that before.
Yeah, like 300 pages. It's a lot to go through, but Brandon's got a long road ahead of him at this point in time. And boy, does it get ugly. And Melanie still is oblivious and sort of, she ditzy on purpose. Just feigned incompetence. I don't know. But so there we are, you guys. October 2nd was a blip on the radar compared to all the stuff that happened right after it. And if it doesn't make it clear that Melani is somehow involved, or at least fully aware, I don't know what else will. I just don't know. I don't know.
Well, that's why we need legal advice from someone who has been a prosecutor before. Like, what do we need to get there? Like, I'm not trying to get her arrested. She's going to get herself arrested, right?
But we hope at this point. I mean, maybe not.
Who knows? But anyways, If you guys have stuck with us all the way through, you are the real ones. We appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, share, subscribe if you want to do all the YouTubey things. Hang out with us on our socials.
Yes.
We are going to keep coming back and bringing you more about Melani. If you guys also have seen Lori at her pre-trial hearing getting spicy with the judge, we don't have it, but East Idaho News does. Go find that.
I need a t-shirt that says, "Are you done?"
Yeah.
I love that judge.
Stop talking over me.
Are you done?
Yeah. He is done.
Oh my god.
He is so done with her.
So done with her. But yeah,
anyways,
we got Melani giving TV interviews and some really interesting tidbits about her past and her childhood. We got arrest reports, body cam from Melani getting arrested with Alex just chilling there too in the car with her. Like, it just gets so much wilder from here.
And some Alex autopsy stuff.
Oh, we got all kinds of stuff. I mean, all of this culminates for me with her absolute complicity, in the very least, with everything going on around her. And we're gonna keep digging, and we're gonna keep sharing, and we'll find some experts to come help talk us off this ledge, because right now I'm like clutching my pearls, like, what is happening here?
I know. Well, in the meantime, guys, we love and appreciate you.
We do.
Please come back for more content. Kimberly, show us out.
Make good choices. That's it today. Just make good choices. And we'll see you.
Yeah. We don't want to be reading your paperwork on the internet.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. I don't. So make reasonable choices, and we will catch you on the flip side. Bye.
Business being on the internet.